These days, aespa has it all. They have the looks, they have the bangers,
I'm on the next level, yeah.
they have the talent, they have the backing of SM, and unfortunately, they have a major branding problem.
Where are the avatars? I've had seats for the avatars too.
They're in the flat right now.
And what is the flat?
It's like a virtual space for our
Virtual.
avatars. Yeah, they're not real.
And here's aespa trying to explain their group name.
Aespa is, well, the A and the E at the start of Aespa means avatar and experience. So it's kind of like having a two-sided thing where we have an avatar friend and we experience a new world together.
So metaverse.
Metaverse,
Like some metaverse type stuff.
yeah.
Virtual idols, the metaverse, AE in the group name, what does this all mean? Good question, because to a lot of K-pop fans that don't keep up with aespa or casual fans, they'll have no clue what any of this means. Because unless a music video story is very easy to understand within 3 to 4 minutes, nearly all K-pop fans will tune out. They either won't care about a group's complex lore or be confused, and aespa falls into that confusion territory. And I really feel for Giselle in those video clips, trying to explain what aespa and their whole lore means. Because how do you really explain aespa's backstory in 5 to 10 seconds? You really can't. And on one episode on the show Hope Song at Noon, the MC asked Karina about aespa's concept. And Karina basically admitted that their group's backstory, their whole lore, is so confusing and they're still learning about their, well, origin stories.
처음에는 이게 뭘까 하면서 이해하기 어렵지가 않았어요?
처음에는 솔직히 저희도 조금 어려웠는데
네.
저희가 그래서 세계관 수업을 받거든요.
And she pretty much continued saying that they have regular lectures on aespa's backstory. The members themselves are always trying to catch up to learn about their own backstory. aespa's story is so convoluted that you have to study for it like an exam or do some deep research. And when aespa's big marketing appeal, the virtual idol concept, is making that group story even more confusing, then that's a major problem. Now, I don't have a problem with aespa. They're highly successful thus far. I think they're a pretty good group. But I do have a problem with their virtual idols. I do think the virtual avatar concept right now is confusing as hell. And I do feel the majority of the problem lies with SM Entertainment CEO Lee Soo-man, as well as the creative team behind aespa. And I really don't think they truly planned this out entirely, as they thought that it would be a cool aspect to have these girls with virtual idols, and it would be a cool new concept to have in K-pop's 4th generation. But right now, the lore, aespa's backstory, is more of a chore, more of a bother to follow than an actual strength of the group. I feel that SM right now is not handling the virtual idol concept nearly as well as KDA, which pretty much nailed the virtual idol concept in music videos. My belief right now is that aespa needs to rework the entire virtual idol concept or drop it entirely. Explaining what your group is about shouldn't be this hard. Last year in late 2020, I made 2 videos about aespa when they debuted, saying that while they're talented, this virtual avatar concept is very confusing. I was concerned, but I wanted to wait at least a year before casting judgment on their concept. Fast forward to 2022, and it looks like aespa's concept is still a mess. Here's a brief breakdown of what aespa is all about. The group has 4 human singers with 4 virtual idols as the human idols' virtual counterparts. The virtual idols are called AE, or E in Korean. Then they have this whole alternate universe called Kwangya, meaning wilderness in Korean, where their virtual avatars live. aespa spams the word Kwangya randomly in many of aespa's songs, with other SM Entertainment artists starting to get into the Kwangya craze, like NCT and EXO, to build up that Kwangya hype. Then there's this place called Cosmo that's mentioned in their 2021 hit song, Next Level, which is a transparent space that no one has reached before. Then there's Navis, which is an AI that helps avatars appear in the real world. And then we have Sync, which is how the human aespa members communicate with their avatars. And then a black mamba, who's aespa's enemy and trying to separate the AE virtual idols from their human aespa singer counterparts. Confused yet? Because I sure am. And I know I'm not the only one. I got this aespa story from asking K-pop fans and doing research, and I'm quite impressed by how well they pieced all this together. But I'm not gonna lie, it's so convoluted to the average K-pop fan, and heck, even to many veteran K-pop fans as well. And if it's that confusing to K-pop fans, imagine how confusing it is to the average Westerner, the casual K-pop fan that's just finding out about aespa. From all of this, aespa's lore really reads something from like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or or MCU. We're going to talk more about this a bit later. Now, to talk about the importance of crystal clear marketing, let's compare SM's branding of Aespa to one of the most known tech companies in the world, Google. Their elevator pitch is insanely strong and named after when you get on an elevator and you only have 30 seconds or less to pitch a business person your business idea. And by saying just one short sentence, Google is easily understood. You can say Google is Googling something to look something up, a quick way to find answers, or the largest search engine. Google has incredible branding because it's easily understood in a short period of time. So Google passes this elevator test. But how about Aespa? How do you describe Aespa's virtual idol concept in just 1 to 2 short sentences? The answer? You really can't. Just trying to explain Aespa's lore in that time is pretty much impossible. Heck, Giselle did that in the very beginning of this video and did a great job, but SM is not giving her much to work with. And that's because Aespa's story can't be explained in such a short time without confusing people. You can also try to say that they're a virtual idol group, but that's not even true either. Because how do you explain to someone, well, Aespa is a virtual idol group, but they barely show up in MVs? Both Aespa's lore and them being this virtual quasi-idol group are quite confusing, so because of this, Aespa doesn't really pass the elevator test. The painful truth is that they don't add much to Aespa's success. When fans check out a new Aespa music video, they're not saying, oh my god, check out the new lore that Aespa has, I love the new storyline. And I'm sure not that many K-pop fans are that interested in its lore. The reality is, the virtual idols don't play any success in Aespa's career thus far. Rather, it's because of the usual aspects in K-pop that make Aespa popular. Great dancing, powerful vocals, good looks, and catchy bangers. Their 2021 song Next Level won the Mnet Best Female Dance Performance, not because of their polished avatar concept, but because, simply, it was a great song to listen to. Now, some naysayers may say, well, the virtual idols don't hurt Aespa. They're still hugely popular, so why do you complain? And sure, Aespa is still really popular, but I think that's some bad logic, because why would you want something that would potentially hold you back? Anything that's not enhancing a group is considered a waste, as it costs money to animate these virtual idols as well as time to fit this virtual idol concept within Aespa. Everything should serve a purpose when it comes to gimmicks and side stories to try to enhance a group. The original plan was for the virtual idols to play a major part in Aespa. From reports back in 2020, Aespa's debut year, the virtual idols were planned to be used outside of the music videos. They would be featured in a lot of meet and greets and online interviews, with the reason being that virtual idols never get tired. So while these virtual idols are doing their meet and greets, the real life singers can take a break. The virtual idols can shoulder the load of the media obligations and fan meetups that human K-pop idols have been doing for years. And on paper, online virtual idol fan meetups would work very well during COVID, and they would be featured in the marketing and branding of the group, such as CFs or advertisements. Yet, at the time of this video, the virtual idols have not been involved in any marketing at all. Outside the music videos and the first episode of the SM Entertainment Cinematic Universe, they've been pretty non-existent. Even in the music video themselves, the avatars don't play a big role, as the virtual idols barely show up in Aespa's music videos. In fact, if you watch their music videos, the idols usually show up in the last 20 seconds or so in the video, if not less. If we take a look at one of their most recent songs, the SES remake of Dreams Come True, you'll see that the virtual idols show up in the last 10 or so seconds in the music video. This is the biggest problem with the virtual avatars, as the group is supposed to be an 8-member group, but pretty much everyone considers Aespa to be a 4-person group with the avatars on the side. A good test if the virtual idols enhance Aespa is, what would happen if they were taken out? Would it lessen the music video's quality? And the answer is, no, as if you took out the avatars, nothing would really change. The song would still sound the same, the choreography would still be intact, and their MVs would still make sense without the avatars. These answers alone show that the avatars aren't needed in Aespa's MVs. Taking this into live performances such as award shows, Aespa doesn't use her virtual idols on stage, as seen here in the Golden Disc Awards, where it's only human members performing. And in this performance, there's a lot of backup dancers behind them, giving Aespa a prime opportunity to have their avatars doing the backup dancing instead. And this is just one example of missing avatars during live performances that SM treats this group as just a 4-member group, with the AE avatars just tacked on to the side. If SM were more serious about featuring the virtual idols, they would show them right away at the start of each music video, or in live concerts, as in all 8 of them dancing together, not wait until 3 minutes into the song and briefly sprinkle in the avatars. Even though SM markets the group as this AI virtual avatar group, K-pop fans just see them as a regular group with random avatars thrown in. Because compared to VTubers, Japanese virtual idol groups, the Korean VTuber, Apoki, and KDA, Aespa is not a pure virtual idol group at all. And speaking of KDA, this is a group that does it right. If you're not familiar with this group is a pure virtual idol group with the human singers not shown in the MVs. The group debuted as a half American, half Korean group, where the Korean members come from the group Idol. KDA was created from Riot Games, the creators of the mega popular game League of Legends, or LOL for short. And the video game giant was inspired by K-pop and virtual idols such as Miku Hasune. When creating this group, the virtual idols or LOL champions such as Audie and Evelyn. The avatars are front and center in every music video, doing choreography and showcasing their abilities that are found in the game. There are several reasons why KDA's virtual idols work so well. They have the incredible lore of the League of Legends characters, since the game has been around since 2009. Riot Games had a lot of backstory, history, and a huge fandom to pull from when featuring these characters. Another reason is that Riot Games planned the characters and had archetypes for each virtual idol. For instance, Evelyn would be designed to be the diva, the wild and in-your-face singer, whereas Ari would be the contrast to Evelyn. Ari would be the more charming and would be providing support in the back. And in fact, with KDA, the only time the human singers are shown are during live performances, as shown here. Because of LOL's rich history and characters, KDA blended the virtual idol concept very well. Looking at the premier Korean VTuber currently, Apoki, she also embraces the virtual idol concept well. Apoki herself is a rabbit or bunny and debuted in 2019 doing cover songs for 2 years before creating her own songs in 2021. Debuting under VV Entertainment, the virtual star sings pop, R&B, and soul. I would say Apoki is the future of Korean virtual idol singers and severely underrated. Like KDA, this is how you embrace the virtual idol concept, where the avatars are seen right away. And this is something that Aespa needs to do as well. So Isuman is trying to play 4D chess with this metaverse concept in the 4th generation of K-pop. And to be fair, let's give where credit is due. Isuman has been such an innovator of K-pop for the last 2 to 3 decades that his track record is very strong in K-pop. I do get what he's trying to do. He's trying to merge K-pop and technology together. So I don't think the whole metaverse concept on paper is bad. I just think the branding with these virtual idols thus far is just horrible. He's catching on to the trend that VTubers, a popular trend in Japan, is trying to do, and he wants in. And it's a safe bet that he was also looking at KDA as inspirations for Aespa. He also got major inspiration from the mega popular Marvel Cinematic Universe to gain the latest edge on his K-pop rivals, to make this vast story and to go just beyond K-pop, to create the SM Cinematic Universe, or SMCU for short, which was launched back in October 2020. The plan for the SMCU is it would focus on cartoons, animations, webtoons, motion graphics, and avatars, where the last one being where Aespa plays a big part. And I get it. Isuman knows it's hard to get attention in the 4th generation. SM wanted Aespa to stand out in the very competitive K-pop industry, since polished dancing, good looks, and great vocals aren't enough anymore. So they added this virtual idol concept and this grand story within Aespa, hoping that it would catch on and bring a new wave of fans interested in the lore. And the grand plan would be that Aespa would be leading the SM Cinematic Universe. But recreating the SMCU is one of the biggest problems of Aespa. They're trying to create an epic story in these 3-minute and 30-second music videos, as well as on the SMCU YouTube series, Episode 1 show. Telling a complex story in just a couple music videos, it's impossible to flesh out even a decent story. For instance, if we take the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at the time of this video, there's 27 Marvel movies in that universe, with a lot of them focused on each superhero story, and with each movie being around 2 hours. These 27 movies span from 2008 with the first Iron Man until now in 2022. With Aespa, they're trying to cram this Kwangya lore in 3 to 4 minute music video chunks. that's simply not enough to flesh out even a short story. I mean, SM's music team is trying though. A lot of the lyrics are about Kwangya, these AE avatars, the other dimension, and going next level. But this presents another big problem. With trying to cram a story in a music video, the songwriters are constrained by what the girls can sing. They're forced in each song to explain their story fast, which leads to some weird and out-of-place lyrics, such as Navis, we love you, everyone mock up to me, and Sink Dive. As mentioned earlier, there's other SM groups such as EXO and NCT also giving shoutouts to Aespa's lore and the SMCU. And as a person that actually speaks Korean, it does feel a bit weird to hear Aespa's lyrics. I do get a laugh of hearing them a lot, especially when I can't make sense of Aespa's stories nor lyrics half the time. But I will say this, even though a lot of their lyrics are weird and forced, their songs are bangers. The songs are very catchy and they have a lot of fans. So it's really a tale of good Aespa and bad Aespa. Good Aespa with the great songs and choreography, but bad Aespa with weird lyrics, because SM is trying to cram Aespa's lore in such short music videos. What SM should have done is released the Aespa lore before they even debuted with Black Mamba. If SM did a 3 to 4 month build-up and released the SMCU story videos telling the basics of Aespa's lore, this would have been a lot better. Isuman should have explained Aespa's lore crystal clear before their debut. Fans wouldn't have been as confused and not left wondering what all this Aespa lore means. So now, Aespa's lore is stuck in this weird position. If Aespa's virtual idol concept and lore are so confusing, what can SM do? I think SM has two options. The first option is if SM wants to continue to keep doing the whole virtual idol concept. If they go this option, SM should move Aespa's lore to a webtoon, then promote that webtoon through social media and YouTube for the hardcore Aespa fans, also known as Mize, that these fans would love to learn about the group's full backstory. And by doing this, they can keep the Kwangya lyrics in the music video to a minimum, or none at all. They should continue to keep expanding the Aespa lore and the SMCU episodes as well, but at the time of this video, there's only one episode, so that's not enough. And SM could also look into doing a Netflix series on Aespa's lore. The second option is a lot simpler. Ditch the virtual idol concept entirely. And to be fair, SM is no stranger to dumping previous groups' concepts, where some of their group concepts just didn't work out at all. So they cut their losses and dropped the concept entirely. If they did this with Aespa, they can treat them as simply a 4-member K-pop group. And best of all, not have any burden about trying to explain this currently convoluted storyline that they have. Now with both options, it would make Aespa a lot easier to understand. With the first choice, it would give a lot more information and fleshed out background into Aespa's lore. And with the second choice, Aespa would no longer be tied down to the Aespa lore, so they can pretty much do what they want. As I said earlier, Aespa is doing great things in K-pop today. They have some bangers, they're SM's prized 4th generation female group, and the talent is definitely there. I never want to see a K-pop group doing bad, so I hope that SM cleans up Aespa's marketing and makes their branding a lot more clear. Because if they do that, I feel that Aespa is going to be one of the strongest 4th generation female groups in the near future. So thank you for watching this video, and if you want real talk with no fluff on how the K-pop industry works from a journalist standpoint, grab my free ebook below. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.